Have you ever wondered why some people are upbeat and positive, see the world in a beautiful way on a continuous basis? Have you wondered how they do it? In today's vlog, what I want to do is I just want to talk about the thousands of thoughts that we have in a day and how to manage them. You see, in my mid-20s and before that, I wasn't a very positive, upbeat person. In fact, I was quite paritative towards myself and my own capabilities. And as you can imagine, that, didn't make me too happy. In fact, it made me quite miserable on a continuous basis. So there came a time where I started thinking, well, obviously there's something different to the way I see the world and how I process things than somebody who is upbeat and positive. So when I was on my journey to, figuring out what my flow was, I went to work for Waterstones. And in this time, I had the opportunity to really immerse myself into the self-development section. In fact, I devoured the self-development section. And what I started to realize and find out was that we are the creators of our thoughts. And therefore, we are also the creators of our stress, for mindset, of depression, but on the other hand, also happiness, our happiness factor. And I thought this was absolutely fascinating because I didn't know about this. And I asked myself, how come I don't know about this? And you have so many books in here that talk about it. And what I realized is that I hadn't been taught about this, and it looks like schools don't teach about this. I believe if you go to therapy or you do cognitive behavioral therapy, that's when you start to learn about this. But I believe this should be tackled before we need therapy. And what I started to do then is I started to read loads, and I came across how we sort of code our mindset, how we that some people have actually a more berative mindset, a more negative mindset than others. Where does this come from? Well, it comes from our mindset being coded, these neural pathways being created when we were children, when we were growing up. So, and therefore, some people being more berative towards themselves if they have lived around that kind of more berative environment than others. So if you've been, if you grew up in a more upbeat, encouraging and positive environment, your head mindset will also reflect that. But of course, what I read was that we can change this. We can change our mindset. It might take some time because we've coded all these neural pathways into our brain. And as we know, habits take time. And what we then need to do is we need to create new neural pathways so we don't use the old ones. New sort of life-affirming neural pathways. And what I started to realize is the difference between me at the time and a positive person was that when they had all these thoughts, they didn't actually focus on the negative thoughts like what I was doing. I was ruminating on the negatives. So when a negative thought used to come in, I used to then go with the negative thought, ruminate on it down into the dumps, and therefore create the emotions, the feelings, the unhappy emotions and feelings, and not positive ones, because if you're thinking negative thoughts, you cannot actually be happy. But if you, for example, if you smile and you put your hands up, for example, and you dance, your physicality will help you to generate a more upbeat mindset. And what I also noticed is that positive, upbeat people, they don't take their thoughts so seriously. In fact, they don't actually even have that many thoughts at times, because they feel like they immerse themselves in to the now. And Eckhart Tolle obviously talks about the power of now, and how really our happiness factor lives in the now, and also in the space where there aren't any thoughts. And of course, this is what the monks do. That's their life's mission, is trying to be in a state of no thought. Meditation helps in us not having that many thoughts, calming our thoughts. And what also positive people do is that they don't break themselves so hard. They look at the what has happened, and they're kinder to themselves, and they help themselves to come up with a solution that is life affirming. They look at the problem and say, well, how can I do this better next time? So, for example, with me these days, what I do is that when I'm tired or sad, I don't actually allow myself to make decisions. In fact, I try not to think. Maybe I'll do some meditation or listen to some good motivational talks or TED Talks. Because in the state when we are negative or depressed or stressed, we don't make the optimal decisions and don't come up with the best solutions to the problem. But when life feels okay, and you feel like there's lots of love and things are going right, that is a good place to make a decision. So true happiness really lives in focusing on the now. And what finding your flow also does is it allows you to access that state of no thought, because you're so immersed in this activity that you love and you're great at, that you actually don't have that many thoughts in that space. So thank you very much for listening in today. If you enjoyed it, please do come back next month, subscribe, and like me on Facebook. And I will see you next month. Thank you so much. Bye for now.